A few hours ago, a preview of a scene from the new Superman movie came out, where we see him enter the Fortress of Solitude. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have noticed that I have been waiting for these scenes since yesterday. So the time has come to go into expert mode on Superman to analyze every detail of this preview. Let's get started. The first thing to say is that this preview, which was released today, will also be shown before the screenings of the movie. Minecraft, another Warner Brothers movie, will be released in the United States. It's unclear if it will also be released in Mexico. If you've already seen the Minecraft movie, let us know here in the comments. And I don't know if Warner's original intention was really to publicly release this preview today, or if the internet practically forced them to. I say this because many people had the theory that Warner wanted to use this preview to attract people to the cinema to see Minecraft. This seems like a terrible idea on multiple levels to me. First, I doubt thousands would buy a ticket just to see a movie preview. Maybe you and I would, but most wouldn't. Yes, but not thousands of people, at least not enough to significantly impact the box office. The other downside of this supposed strategy is that, obviously, for hours, low-quality images and videos of this preview have been leaking online, which Warner has been removing from the internet. So either they uploaded the preview like this in high quality officially, or we were all going to see it pirated. What do you think?
Was it the intention to upload the preview today, or did the internet force them?
But let's go with the analyses, as the preview begins in a very similar way to the teaser we had already seen with Superman falling in the Arctic. After someone gave him the character development of his life and asking for help from his dog Krypto. As I mentioned before, this seems like an interesting tone option to me, because we are used to a Superman who can do everything and who, well, is practically silver. Invincible video for next week. The Geek Monitor Geo suggests this Superman will be more vulnerable and bleed despite his immense powers.
The new teaser shows a significant change from the previous one. Krypto doesn't immediately understand and help Superman.
As we can see in some of the smarter versions we've seen of the character in comics and other adaptations, we see Krypto more as a normal dog with powers who is smart but is still a dog, so he initially hurts Clark instead of helping him. In fact, this leads me to the next point. Have you noticed that a lot of Superman's advertising revolves around Krypto, the super dog? Is there a reason for this? James Gunn recently said that he was offered the opportunity to direct the Superman movie since 2018. But he chose to direct the Suicide Squad instead, feeling it was more similar to his Guardians of the Galaxy work. What good is being alive if you're well? But then he had an idea for the Superman movie, one where the story could feel both human and fantastic at the same time. And I think Krypto has a role here, firstly, because he is a character who is often underestimated, because it's thought that he can't be adapted into a realistic movie, but Superman doesn't have to be completely realistic, right? Since he can take fantastic elements like Krypto and make them resonate on a human level with us. Let me tell you how. According to Variety, Krypto is inspired by Gunn's adopted dog, Osu, who frequently escaped destroyed furniture and constantly bit him. Snyder imagined what would happen if his dog, a fan of his, had superpowers. Would he be ferocious? The fact that Geo, the Geek Monitor, links his own dog with Krypto could give us a realistic emotional anchor through a fantastic element. It could also make Clark see himself reflected in Krypto, since he is a social outcast who does not belong to this world and who struggles to fit in and find his place, which in turn would make us empathize with this need to belong. Good superhero stories achieve a human anchor through science fiction elements, and Krypto seems to me a good option to achieve this. Another new element we saw in this preview was that we were able to get a better look at the Fortress of Solitude, Superman's legendary retreat in the Arctic, where he can rest, conduct experiments, store valuable Kryptonian artifacts, and in some versions, preserve endangered alien flora and fauna. This version we see in the preview is a bit different because it's not always in plain sight like many others, but it seems as if it blooms. When Superman or Krypto approach, it can even adjust its position according to the sun's movement. These new details were very appealing to me, particularly visually. They really look very good. Another detail that also changed is that apparently Superman tuned the Fortress of Solitude with a type of Kryptonian Alexa, so that Krypto could open the door with a bark. In the comics, this door regularly opens with a giant key that only Superman can carry, and in versions like All-Star Superman. We see that Cal basically has a key under the mat, but a very, very heavy one that only he can carry as well. The emblem at the entrance also appears to confirm that this will be the official shield of the House of 50 Superman's Kryptonian family crest. This emblem in the comics resulted from a change as seen in the Kingdom Come story, but it is not the family's original emblem. 50? I suppose then that the emblem will be merely aesthetic. We will not have a story of why their emblem looks like this, simply because this is how it is in this universe. By the way, I have a whole video talking about what the Superman emblem symbolizes. Before continuing, I want to mention that on April 11th, 12th, I'll give an online talk about Superman's history. There are 2 schedules and you can attend whichever you want or both. There really is no extra cost. We will discuss mythological references, analyze key stories, and explore the character's transformation from a people's hero to patriotic propaganda and a symbol of hope. And I have good news for you, because if you're watching this video, that means you're a big fan of Superman. For the next 48 hours, I'm offering the biggest discount ever on this talk. To get the discount, message me on Instagram using the link in the description. I look forward to seeing you in the course. Let's continue then. Then we see how some robots welcome Superman inside the fortress. This is because the Fortress of Solitude requires a lot of maintenance. So in many comics since the Silver Age, we see how Superman uses an army of robots who help him with these tasks. Sometimes it's a robot named Kylex. But this design that we see in the preview comes directly from All-Star Superman, where these robots even help Superman defeat the evil solar computer Solaris. They also include the sun as a healing element for Superman. This is because canonically Superman functions like a solar battery and gets all his power and energy from the sun. So in several stories we see him using solar energy to recover. Some stories suggest Clark doesn't need to eat or sleep as he gets all his energy from the sun. He simply got used to doing it in an effort to be more like us. Which also tells us about this need the character has for acceptance and belonging, a narrative detail that I find very interesting. However, a detail that is not so common in Superman myths is that solar energy also hurts him at certain levels. So well, that's different. Another detail that we could also appreciate a little better in this preview was the type of humor that James Gunn will handle in the film. On one hand, we have scenes like this where Gunn mixes a dramatic element like Superman on the ground beaten with a comic element, Krypto jumping on him. There's also this scene where the robot tells Superman not to thank them, as they are robots and do not appreciate social courtesy. These 2 scenes suggest that the humor in James Gunn's upcoming film will be more nuanced and different from his usual style. Perhaps they are a bit closer to what we saw in Alfred's character in The Dark Knight. That is, a humor that makes you laugh but does not completely take you out of the tone of the movie. I thought it was a great choice due to his style of humor, as seen in works like Creature Commandos. To be honest, I don't really like it. Like that edgy joke James Gunn is not my hit. The preview features scenes from the teaser but with a notable change in the background music, incorporating different elements into the classic Superman theme. And also, they do a reharmonization of the main theme composed by John Williams, which makes this preview feel even more epic musically speaking than the teaser we had already seen. I'm analyzing it, but it'll take me a bit longer. I'll upload the video to my Instagram soon as it has some unique and intriguing content. Another fascinating aspect is their frequent emphasis on the phrase "look up," which I used to open the Superman radio program. Look up! It's a bird, a plane, Superman. But they use the phrase in such a way that it feels like a hopeful message, as if looking up towards Superman motivates us to be better people. I also thought this was a great detail. Remember, this was a teaser, not a trailer. However, we will likely have a first official trailer soon. The 18th of April, as that day the character turns 87 years since it was first published. If there is another trailer, of course there will be a new analysis since we will surely see several new scenes. And well, remember to follow me here on Instagram. Because really from here till the 11th of July, well, I'm not going to stop talking about Superman, right? Remember that if you are interested in attending my virtual talk about the history of Superman and you want the biggest discount we have given, you just have to send me an inbox on Instagram and I send you the coupon. You only have 48 hours, so take advantage of the offer. That's all for today. I'm Go and Look Up.